Istanbul, the only city in the world between two continents. It receives in a rainy day and thus turns a 30-minute journey into a 3 hour due to a traffic jam. Modest buildings illuminated in a striking way greet us when passing, welcoming us.
The goods transport takes place in the Marmara, but there is not only freight in this port. We also met the most used public transport in the city and our fellow traveler in the next few days, the ferry. The flags of the square remind us of the celebration of the Republic Day that will take place soon on the 29th of October.
Although the dark and rainy day almost got us fooled in a market close by, we find out where the colorful beauty of the city hides. Fresh fish and a great diversity of exotic fruits and vegetables take us to another world through our sight. At the end of our walk, we had a tea, of course. It is the national drink of Turkey and we got quickly familiar with it.
Some streets look architecturally colorful and show certain elements in protest against the violent acts that took place a few years ago in the Taksim Square, a permanent memory that peace is the way to go.
Seagulls flutter around and they stand between us and the wonderful landscape. The blue mosque, Hagia Sophia, and the Topkapi Palace.
In the European side, the tram took us rapidly to the historic center of the city. The Sultan Ahmed Mosque, most known as the Blue Mosque, is as beautiful as Hagia Sophia.
By the entrance, the dressing code for women to get inside the Blue Mosque reminds us there is still a long way to achieve the equality of genders.
It was built in 1616 by Sultan Ahmed I, and it is the most important religious temple in the city. Its beauty is breathtaking. Men and women pray in separate and quiet areas, unaware of tourists' constant coming and going.
Hagia Sophia is the real symbol of Istanbul. Since the 6th century, it has been a basilica, a mosque, a church, and now it is a museum. A wide and dark stone path drove us to the upper floor. From there, we could observe its inside with a huge dome. Big medallions remind us of its Arabic past. In the main hall, a cat called Billy, who is the only one who lives there, poses for the cameras. Byzantine mosaics recently found show us its Christian past.
In the afternoon, we visited one of the most interesting monuments of Istanbul, the Basilica Cistern or Yerebatan Sarayı, which means sunken palace in Turkish. The Emperor Justinian I ordered to build it in 532 to avoid the lack of water during the siege of the city. It is the biggest of the 60 cisterns in the whole city and one of the few which still work. The quality of water was tested by the fish that lived there, both Medusa's heads made of stone and their weird placements are striking. This walk reminds us that the city's first name was Byzantium and then Constantinople.
At sunset, we got into Topkapi Palace and visited it. Sultan Mehmed II ordered to build it, and it was finished between 1459 and 1465. The administrative center of the Ottoman Empire was located there. Nowadays, the palace is a museum. The views from there are awesome, so we could contemplate all the city. The Golden Horn is a major urban waterway and the primary inlet of the Bosphorus. It represents the limit between Asia and Europe.
With the beginning of a new day, we took off to the Princess Islands in the Marmara Sea. They form a district part of the city of Istanbul. A vacation destination really close to the city, where peace and beauty take over and cars are not permitted. To move around, locals and visitors use bicycles, small electric cars, or even more traditional phaetons.
We took the ferry again to go to the Golden Horn. It is time to visit the Maiden Tower and do a little boat trip through the Bosphorus. It is almost incredible that just a few miles to the east we can locate the Black Sea.
Ben seni sevdim, iddia dünyalara bildirdim. Ben seni sevdim, iddia dünyalara bildirdim.
This is one of the bridges above the Bosphorus that connects both continents, but we are still in the same city.
Babanimi yıldırdım, endirdin kaşlarını, endirdin kaşlarını. Babanimi yıldırdım.
It amazes us to see lots of people fishing in the channel.
Dereye, dereye da al dereden taşları. En dereye, dereye oy al dereden taşları.
In the evening, and to put an end to this experience, we couldn't miss a visit to the colorful and boisterous Great Bazaar.
Al cebundan saçları, Geçti bizden sevdalık, geçti bizden sevdalık. Al cebumdan saçları.
See you soon, Istanbul. Thanks for this fantastic experience.